Hello and welcome. I'm Karen Del Maestro, health coach, breast cancer survivor, and also BRCA2 carrier. Thank you so much for joining me here today for the first episode. I'm super excited. The first episode of the new weekly video series, Breast Cancer Conversations. Sometimes you're going to find it's just me. Sometimes I'm going to be hanging out with some really cool guests. And we're going to be talking about all things breast cancer related. So we're going to talk about how you can reduce your risk. We're going to talk about early detection. We're going to talk about genetic factors. We're going to talk about all different things relative to this disease, this terrible disease, I should say. And today we're going to kick things off with talking about early detection and why it's so key, and especially right now. Okay, and this could be early detection of breast cancer, period. It could be early detection of recurrence. Either way, early detection is key. So I'm going to dive right in by sharing something that really hit me hard, I have to say, when I heard. And that I heard this really big statistic this past week that it is estimated that the occurrences of breast cancer are going to double by 2040. What does that mean to you and me, right? It means that right now, for most women, and if you're on, please say hi. Let me know that you're here. Drop your first name in. With StreamYard, I cannot see, and I'm recording this via StreamYard if you're viewing this on the replay. But just drop your first name in. Say hi. Let me know that you're here. This is for you, so you get to ask questions and everything else. So I heard the statistic that by 2040, the occurrences of breast cancer are going to double. So that means that instead of being 1 in 8 chance of you getting breast cancer, it is going to be 1 in 4. Let that sink in for a second. I don't know about you, but I am not okay with that. I am not okay with that. And I don't think it's something that I want to just accept. And maybe you feel the same way. Let me know. Because what I want, that means that we're not changing anything, right? That means that we're not doing anything to reduce our risk factors. And I'm here to help you do that every step of the way. Everything that I teach, everything that I share is to help you reduce your risk factors for this disease, whether it's first time or recurrence. Okay, so that statistic just kind of blew my mind, and it really sunk in with me. Now, along with that, I also want to share a story that I heard from Dr. Kristi Funk this past week. It was, or I should say probably is still, she's the author of this book called Breasts. And I love this, the owner's manual, right? So like every woman should have this book. She was actually Sheryl Crow's doctor as she was going through breast cancer. Sheryl Crow, the singer and performer. And I was seeing an interview with Dr. Funk this past week, and she was referring to how concerned she is right now with COVID and how many women are not going for their regular screenings. That's understandable, right? A lot of people are putting these regular screenings, things like mammograms, ultrasounds, things like that, these preventative things, on hold because you don't want to be in a hospital, because you don't want to be around people who are potentially sick. And so the concern here is that what are we missing by not doing these regular screenings? It was my annual mammogram that caught my breast cancer, thankfully early, thankfully really early. And early detection is key with this disease, key, absolutely key. The statistics are, and I'm sharing a lot of statistics today, but the statistics are, if your breast cancer is discovered at either stage 0 or 1, after a 5-year period, there's a 99% chance of survival. Huge, right? Worth finding early. Stage 2, that drops to 93%. Still really good. So that gives you pause for thought about putting on, hey, I don't know who's on. If you're chatting with me, just drop me in your name because I don't get to see it as I'm sharing here through StreamYard. So somebody is apologizing for being late, and you are not late to the game, let me tell you. First of all, the replay of this is going to be available should you want it, but you're never late. Hey, Sabrina, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for joining. I hope you're doing well. And so with those statistics, right, knowing that we have such a great chance of survival, that makes us understand why things like our monthly self-breast check are so important. In fact, they are crucial. Okay, so right now, play along with me. All right, I want you to raise your hand. I know Sabrina's doing it because she's okay. Then I want you to put up your 3 middle fingers. Okay, this is the size of a lump that is found by accident. That's the average size of a lump that is found by accident, 3 fingers. I'm going to pull up. For those of you that don't know, I am a certified global breast educator through the Know Your Lemons Foundation. And this is like their handy dandy thing here. I know it could be considered just a number of different things, but that's the average size right there. That's your 3 fingers. That's the average size of a lump that is found by accident. Now, if you do routine self-exams, hold up your thumb, that's the average size of a lump. Big difference, big difference just by doing routine self-exams. Now, self-exams are important for everybody, whether you've had breast cancer or not, whether you, like I'm flat now, I don't even have boobs anymore. I still have to do a self-exam. And that's kind of what propelled me to share this information, because I think so often, especially as breast cancer survivors, if we have had breast reconstruction, if we're flat, maybe we've got 1 natural boob and 1 reconstructed boob, whatever it is, we need to be doing these monthly self-exams. And I don't want you to panic. I'm going to give you some information today that's going to help you do it. And I'm also going to give you a way to come join me on a monthly breast health party where we do it all together, because this doesn't need to be as scary, right? So this is the size of a lump. This is the blue guy here. That's the average size of a lump found if you're doing your monthly breast self-exam. Big difference. Okay, now, index finger. This is the size of a lump average found with the first mammogram, if we're discovering it, if that person has not been doing regular screenings. Okay, that's the purple guy right here. Hope you guys can see this. Okay, and lastly, little finger. This is the size of an average lump found when multiple mammograms are done. In other words, when you're doing it every year and they can compare how things are changing, that's the average size. So we can see here that your monthly self-exams make a difference. You can see that yearly mammograms make a difference, or ultrasounds, or MRIs, or thermography. Whichever screening process you choose, getting it done on an annual basis makes a huge, huge, huge difference. I think you can see that now, right? So let's talk about some other factors when we're doing our monthly self-exam. Now, I also think it's really important, and I went through this after removing my implants due to breast implant illness and capsular contracture. We need to get familiar with our body. Like so often we just like assume like, here I am, this is me, and we're not really getting familiar. So we need to get familiar with, even if it's just in the shower, with under our arms, all the way down, all the way up through our collarbone, through our rib cage. These are places that we need to be looking for lumps. Okay, lumps aren't the only thing that we're looking for, however, and this is something that I did not learn until I went through this process. There were a couple of things, but there are actually 12 signs to look out for. 12. I'm not going to go into all of them here. I'm going to tell you a couple of them, but I want you, that's what we'll go through in depth on the breast health party. Okay, that's a monthly thing, so I will make sure that you've got a link to that too. Hop on and join me for that, where I'll be going into much more detail on these 12 signs to look for and things like that. So the other thing that we often see when it comes to self-exams, you see the hashtag all the time, feel it on the first. Well, here's an interesting thing. That is not the best time for everybody. The actual best time, if you still get a period, the best time for you to do your self-exam is actually a week after your period. Okay? If you do not get a period anymore, that's me, thrown into surgical menopause, then choose a day and stick to it every month. You want to make sure that you're doing your self-exam at the same time of the month, every single month. That's where feel it on the first kind of comes in, because then it makes it easy to remember. Okay, I'm also going to share in the breast health party an even easier way for you to remember. Okay, so that's what I want you to think about. Now, I also think very often that when we're doing our self-exam, we think that we do it standing up and that's it. Nope. We also need to do it lying down. So lying down on your back with your arm up and going all the way through. It changes almost like the geography, right, of our body a little bit. When we lie down, we raise our arm. Then we get to feel into some different nooks and crannies so that we can really do that exam properly. Like if we're going to the effort of doing it, let's do it properly. Right? And I want you to feel confident about that. Like I know before I used to just do, a little feel and think that was it. I did not realize that we can be so much more proficient with how we do these self-exams, and it's not difficult. It's not time consuming. It can take like 10 minutes a month. Think about that. Is that worth changing when you find a lump? Yeah, 10 minutes a month. That's all it can take. So, okay, now let's talk about, let me just have a sip of water here a second. And if you have any questions, if you're on here live with me, please pop them into the chat. Let me know. Okay, so next I want to talk about some of the symptoms. I'm not going to share all 12. We would be here for quite some time, but I will go into depth in them in the breast health party. So hop on over there, please. I'll make sure that you've got the link again. So some of the signs to look for. We all know about a lump, right? But do you know how that lump actually feels? Maybe not. A breast cancer lump typically feels like a lemon seed. It's hard, okay? It can be any shape, it can be any size, but it's hard. Versus a pea or a bean, which can be milk ducts. But you can see a pea or a bean, there's a little more squish to it, right? Versus a lemon seed, which is very hard. So that's a really good indicator of what you're looking for. Typically, as we're getting older, we're going to get lumps. We are. But it's also, and if there's anything, any kind of lump that you are concerned about, then my recommendation is that you go to a doctor, you get it checked out immediately. Don't hesitate. Listen to that little voice in your gut that's saying, is it not? Is it? Do I worry about it? Do I do something about it? Do something about it. Do yourself a favor. First of all, getting rid of the worry is huge, right? Just getting rid of that worry and concern. Give yourself that gift. Get it checked out as soon as you can. Okay. Some of the other things you're looking for might be something like dimples in your breasts that weren't there before. And that's also something that you'll see even if you're standing up and looking in a mirror and raising your arm. If you see something change in your breast as you lift up your arm, if something like doesn't move properly, something dimples as you move your arm, that's something again that needs to be looked at, especially with natural breasts. If you have reconstruction, you may have ripples due to the implant. And again, look at them. Are they normal? Is this what you normally see? So you want to become really familiar with what you normally look and feel like. That's why doing this monthly is so crucial. Honestly, it really is. So dimples is something else. One of the other things would be a change in your nipples. Like if your nipples become crusty, or the texture changes, or the color changes, that's something again to be bringing to the attention of your doctor. One of the other things might be if your breasts are red or hot. And this is tough. And I know I've spoken to so many women who are new mothers and they're breastfeeding, and you know that they're being told it's mastitis and something like that. But my recommendation is always listen to your gut. If your gut is saying, is it really? And I'm not saying that you need to be, I don't want you to over worry, but you know your body better than anybody else knows your body. And that's the key thing to take away with this. And I truly do believe that we have to be our own health advocate, because nobody else knows what we're feeling. Nobody else knows the sensation or the pain or the change, right? Because that's really what we're looking for, is something that changes as we're going through the month and really looking at our breasts, right? So getting familiar with them is number one. It really is. And so let's just recap those things really quick for today. And please let me know, Sabrina, I think you're still on. If you have any questions, my dear, please pop them into the chat. And nothing is ever a silly question. I have been asked so many questions, and I would so much rather that people ask questions than stew on something and be concerned. Nothing is ever a silly question. Okay, so I want you to know that. And if you feel like it's something super private, feel free to shoot me a message or an email. You know, if that's something that you don't want to put out into a chat somewhere, that's absolutely fine. So, okay, so number one, we're going to start doing a monthly self-exam, getting familiar with our bodies, looking at it a week after our period. Hang on 1 second, Sabrina, and I will answer that for you. That's a fantastic question. Okay, so getting familiar with your body. If you have your period, you want to be doing this a week after your period. If you don't have your period anymore, pick a date and stick to it. That's when you're going to do it every month, so that your body is at the same point every single month. Number two, you want to make sure that you're doing your exam standing and lying. Standing, you're also going to raise your arm, do it in front of a mirror, see what changes. And number three, make sure you're looking for, there are 12 signs. And if you don't know them all, please join me for the breast health party. I go into all 12 of them. I'm going to show you exactly how to feel your body, to notice these lumps and bumps and notice any changes. Now, Sabrina had a great question. She asked, do the lumps feel the same even with implants? So this is the thing. First of all, and this could be implants after breast reconstruction, and also implants before, if somebody has implants. It's going to depend, first of all, if you went under the muscle or over the muscle. For anybody that's dealing with breast reconstruction, our breast tissue has gone, right? We've gone through double mastectomy and breast tissue is gone. So you're more than likely Not going to feel it on top of the implant. However, I would still check. We want to make sure that we are being thorough. If we're going to the effort of doing this, we want to make sure that we're being thorough. The big thing after reconstruction, and this is what I think a lot of us don't realize, I certainly didn't before I went through this training, is that we still need to do this check. And we are more so checking lymph nodes. Now, we know as breast cancer survivors that many of us have cancer in our lymph nodes. This is why it's important for us to check that. So, and I'm going to go into this more in the breast health party, but, you know, making sure that we are, my breast tissue came all the way down here, guys, all the way down here. So if my breast tissue was down here, you can bet I'm going to be checking all of that. So really thoroughly under the arms, really thoroughly all the way up through your collarbone and your ribs. And even just under, you know, again, depending on where your implants are, going under too. Checking all of those lymph nodes around the breasts and that whole chest area to make sure that we're thoroughly getting familiar and recognizing any lumps or changes or anything like that. Okay, does that help, Sabrina? If you're still on, love, let me know. And if anybody else is on, I see there's a couple of people on live right now here with me. Thank you for joining me. If you have any questions about early detection, about what to look for, please drop your first name and any questions in the chat. I'm here, so please tap into me. I will be here every Thursday, sometimes on my own, sometimes with a guest. Next week, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek. Next week, I'm actually super excited because I'm going to be joined by my daughter. And we are going to be talking about what it's like to be a mother and daughter. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. How did she feel? I was also diagnosed with the BRCA2 gene, as was she. And so we're going to be talking about how that felt for each of us. And so that's going to be exciting to have her join me next week on our breast cancer conversations. So, okay, any more questions from anybody that's joining live today? If you're watching this as the replay, feel free to drop questions down below and just put hashtag replay so that, and feel free to tag me at Karen Del Maestro so that I get the questions. I want to make sure that I answer any of them for you. Just depends on where you're watching this. So, all right. Any more questions from anybody? I'll give you one more chance before we finish up for today in our first breast cancer conversations. Like I said, I'm going to put the link everywhere that you are viewing this video. There's going to be a link to join the breast health party. Please do so, especially this month. It's October. We all want to have this awareness this month. And I think there's something, I mean, let's be real, right? Doing this can also be kind of scary, right? The last thing we want to do is find that lump. But I'm all about prevention. I'm all about trying to find things early so that we can do something about it. I'm all about reducing our risk factors. And I feel like if we're doing this together and we are supporting each other, there's some peace in that. There's some peace in that. Thanks for coming, Sabrina. So I think that's it for today, guys. We're going to wrap it up right here. If you have questions, let me know. Like I said, I'm going to drop the link to the breast health party, and I will see you next week. So if you want to join live, breast cancer conversations are happening live Thursdays, 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And you can find them either live in the Healthy Living After Breast Cancer Facebook community. This is especially for breast cancer survivors. Or you can also view them on Healthy Living for Breast Cancer Previvors and Survivors. That's the Facebook page. So thank you so much for watching today. I'm Karen Del Maestro. You can find also these replays over on www.karen with an I delmaestro.com. And thank you so much for joining me here today. And I look forward to seeing you in the next breast health party. Bye for now.